Vietnam, a breathtaking country with stunning landscapes and warm, welcoming people. But beyond its beauty lies a world of strange sights and customs that will leave you both amazed and bewildered. From bizarre street inventions to unusual delicacies, weird animals, and even rituals you won't see anywhere else, Vietnam is truly one of a kind. Whether it's nature's oddities or human ingenuity at its strangest, join us as we explore 20 bizarre things that can only be found in Vietnam. Number 20. Coffee culture and industry. Vietnam is known for its rich culture, but it also plays a huge role in the coffee industry. It is the second largest coffee exporter in the world, just behind Brazil, making it a major force in the global coffee market. Coffee was first introduced to Vietnam by the French in the 1800s, with plantations set up in the highland regions. Over time, the industry expanded, and after the Vietnam War, production skyrocketed. Today, the country produces more than 1 million tons of coffee every year. Vietnam is also famous for having one of the world's most expensive coffees, Café Chon, or civet coffee. This rare brew is made from beans that have been eaten and passed through the digestive system of civet cats. The beans are collected from the animal's waste, giving the coffee a unique flavor with hints of vanilla and sweetness. A single kilogram of this coffee can cost as much as $150, making it one of the priciest varieties in the world. However, beyond expensive coffee, Vietnam's coffee culture is what truly makes it special. Traditional Vietnamese coffee is brewed using a simple metal drip filter, where hot water slowly passes through ground coffee into a cup below. Many locals enjoy their coffee black and iced, while others add sweetened condensed milk for a creamy twist. Vietnam is also the world's largest producer of Robusta coffee, with its brands earning international awards and meeting top quality standards like Fair Trade and Rainforest Alliance certifications. Number 19. Football passion. Football or soccer is hands down the most loved sport in Vietnam. People here are crazy about the game, and it has become a big part of their daily lives. Whether it's a small neighborhood match, a major international tournament, or a game featuring the national team, football has a way of bringing everyone together. Vietnam's national team has won the hearts of many, especially after their incredible performances in regional competitions like the AFF Cup and the Asian Cup. Their big win in the semifinals of the AFC U23 Championship in the year 2018 and their impressive run in the qualifiers for the World Cup in the year 2022 sent the entire country into celebration mode. When Vietnam wins an important match, the streets fill up with fans waving flags, riding their motorbikes, and cheering at the top of their lungs. But football in Vietnam isn't just about professional games. It's also a part of everyday life. Kids can be seen kicking a ball around in the streets, groups of friends gather at parks for a friendly match, and cafes are packed with fans glued to the screen whenever there's a big game. The country's top football league, V-League One, is also gaining more attention, with clubs like Hanoi FC and Hoang An Gia Lai building loyal fan bases. Number 18. The Hill Tribes of Kon Tum. The hill tribes of Kon Tum, Vietnam, are a key part of the country's diverse cultural landscape. Situated in the Central Highlands, Kon Tum is home to several ethnic groups, like the Bah Nar, Ja Rai, Sa Dang, and Ren Gao, each with their own unique traditions, languages, and ways of living. The Bah Nar people, the largest group in the area, are famous for their tall, thatched rong houses. These large communal buildings are the center of village life, used for everything from meetings to festivals, and highlight the strong sense of community among the tribes. The hill tribes of Kon Tum have a deep connection with nature, relying on farming, hunting, and weaving to support themselves. Many villages still follow their ancient customs, practicing animism and performing rituals to honor spirits. Music and dance are also key parts of their culture, often played with traditional gongs that hold sacred meaning. One of the most amazing things about visiting Kon Tum is the chance to experience these traditions up close. Tourists can stay in village homestays, enjoying the locals' warm hospitality while learning about their crafts and daily life. Festivals, like the buffalo sacrifice ceremony, provide a rare look into their spiritual practices. Even with modern changes, many of the hill tribes in Kon Tum continue to keep their traditions alive, making it a fascinating place for cultural exploration. For travelers wanting an authentic experience, the hill tribes of Kon Tum offer a unique opportunity to connect with the indigenous people of Vietnam. Number 17. A diverse cuisine. As you journey through Vietnam, you'll notice how each place has its own special dishes. Every region has something unique that makes it stand out. Take Hanoi, for example. It's famous for its pho and fried rice. But if you head down south to a city like Hue, pho isn't as popular. Instead, people there love their well-known beef noodle soup. Even though it's still considered pho, the noodles are thicker and rounder than the ones in the north, giving it a completely different feel. The flavors are bold and rich, showing how the same dish can change depending on where you are. Keep traveling south, and Ho Chi Minh City will introduce you to even more flavors, different landscapes, and a whole new cultural experience. Every part of the country has something special when it comes to food, and the variety of dishes tells a deeper story about the history and traditions of each area. From the sweet and mild flavors in the north to the spicy and intense tastes in the south, exploring Vietnam through its food is something every food lover should do. The country's diverse cuisine reflects its people, and tasting these dishes will make your trip even more unforgettable. However, for the people of Vietnam, celebrations are just as important as food in their daily lives. Now let's take a look at one festival they hold close to their hearts. Number 16. The silent streets of Tet. If you ever find yourself in Vietnam during Tet, don't be shocked if the usually busy streets suddenly feel deserted. Tet, also known as the Lunar New Year, is the biggest and most meaningful celebration in the country. It marks the beginning of the lunar calendar and is all about family gatherings, honoring ancestors, and welcoming fresh starts. As the holiday nears, life in Vietnam slows down almost completely for several days. For as long as 7 days, businesses everywhere shut their doors, from local shops to big offices. The once lively streets become strangely quiet, almost like a ghost town. For many, this is a chance to unwind, reflect, and get ready for the year ahead. People make sure to stock up on food and essentials because most places won't open during this time. It's common for families to spend the entire week together, following long-standing traditions and making the most of the holiday. If you're in Vietnam during Tet, be prepared for an atmosphere that feels like a scene from a pandemic, seeing empty streets and a sense of excitement lingering in the air. Number 15. Pollution and littering. In many parts of the world, people try their best to keep their surroundings clean. It's normal to see someone finish a snack or a drink and toss the trash into a proper bin, making things easier for those who clean the streets. But in Vietnam, things work a little differently. It's not uncommon to see plastic waste scattered along the roads, and some people even throw their trash straight into rivers and lakes because it's quicker than finding a garbage bin. Plastic bags are still widely used, and many shoppers don't think twice about grabbing a new one instead of using something reusable. This problem goes beyond just littering. Pollution from vehicles makes things even worse. Hanoi, the country's capital, is among the most polluted cities in the world, mainly because of the huge number of motorcycles. Many of them are old and not well maintained, releasing thick, black smoke that fills the air. On top of that, people burn waste and rice straw, adding even more pollution. Breathing in this air can be harmful, so if you ever visit, wearing a mask is a good idea. What may seem like a light morning fog is actually smog that isn't safe to inhale. Number 14. Vietnam's insane dishes. Vietnam is known for its amazing food, but some of its dishes might surprise or even scare unprepared visitors. One of the most shocking foods is duong dua, or coconut worms, which are a specialty in the Mekong Delta. These worms live inside coconut trees and can be cooked by grilling or frying, but the most daring way to eat them is raw, soaked in fish sauce. Since they are still alive and moving when picked up, eating them is not for the faint of heart. However, those brave enough to try say they have a rich, chewy texture. Coconut worms are often ranked among the most unusual foods in Asia. Another dish that might be hard to stomach is blood pudding, made from the blood of ducks, geese, or pigs. The blood is mixed with minced meat and peanuts, then served with basil leaves and boiled liver. It has a unique sweet and savory taste, but it's not for everyone. Eating raw blood carries a high risk of bacteria and food poisoning, which can lead to serious stomach issues. Finally, there's balut, or duck embryo eggs, a popular snack in Vietnam. They are usually eaten with salt, ginger, and cilantro. Locals consider them highly nutritious, but for visitors, seeing a partially developed duckling inside the egg can be unsettling. The idea of eating an embryo, especially one with tiny features, can be disturbing for those not used to such dishes. But Vietnam's passion isn't just for food. They are just as obsessed with coffee. Let's see what makes it so special next. Number 13. Flooded streets. Vietnam's streets can be full of surprises, especially when the rainy season arrives. After a heavy downpour, it's common to see roads completely covered in water. But don't worry, this is just a normal part of life here. Locals have become experts at getting around, and since motorcycles are the main way people travel, you'll often see riders skillfully making their way through the flooded streets without hesitation. If you're not up for wading through the water yourself, taxis and motorbike taxis are always an option. For those who prefer to stay dry, walking on the sidewalk might seem like the safest choice. However, when the rain is really intense, even sidewalks can disappear under the rising water. If you find yourself out during a flood, it's a good idea to protect your feet, as the water is often dirty and polluted. Some locals take things to the next level by using small boats to get around, turning an ordinary day into something that almost feels like an adventure. While the sight of flooded streets might be overwhelming at first, it's just another example of how the Vietnamese people adapt and carry on with their daily lives. Number 12. The Cliff of Stone Plates. Gan Ja Gia, found in Phu Yen Province along Vietnam's central coastline, is one of the country's most breathtaking natural wonders. Many people compare it to the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland because of its unusual rock formations. Here, thousands of tightly packed hexagonal basalt columns stretch along the shore, creating a scene that looks almost unreal. This incredible landscape was formed millions of years ago due to volcanic eruptions. When scorching hot lava flowed into the sea, the sudden cooling caused it to crack into unique polygonal shapes. Over time, this process continued, eventually shaping the stunning rock formations seen today. The name Gan Ja Gia means the Cliff of Stone Plates, which perfectly describes how the rocks stack up like a massive pile of dishes. Aside from its geological history, Gan Ja Gia is deeply connected to Vietnamese culture. Many old legends speak of mythical creatures or ancient spirits that are believed to have played a role in shaping the land. To this day, fishermen and villagers visit the site to pray for safety and good fortune before setting out to sea. Now, Gan Ja Gia has become a favorite spot for nature lovers, photographers, and travelers looking to explore something different. The sight of dark volcanic rock against the bright blue ocean and lush green landscape is truly mesmerizing. Even though more people are starting to visit, it still feels peaceful and untouched compared to Vietnam's busier tourist destinations, making it a hidden gem worth experiencing. Number 11. The magic of water puppetry in Vietnam. Water puppetry, or Mua Roa Nuoc, is an ancient art form from Vietnam that goes all the way back to the 11th century. It started in the Red River Delta region and is closely connected to the rural life of the Vietnamese people. The puppets are made from wood and covered in lacquer to protect them from water, as the performances happen in a pool that's deep enough to reach the waist. The puppeteers stand behind a screen and use long bamboo rods and strings to move the puppets, making them seem like they're dancing on the water. The water not only acts as the stage, but also hides the puppetry mechanisms, giving the whole show a sense of mystery and magic. The shows are accompanied by traditional Vietnamese music, played on instruments like drums, wooden bells, horns, and bamboo flutes, which makes the experience even more exciting. Water puppetry often shows scenes from rural life, myths, and local legends. You'll see stories about farming, fishing, and village festivals, as well as tales of magical creatures and brave heroes. Even today, water puppetry is still a popular form of entertainment in Vietnam, drawing in both locals and tourists. The Thang Long Water Puppet Theater in Hanoi is one of the most famous places to see this amazing art form. But if you think that's cool, just wait until you hear about the incredible caves you can find in Vietnam. Number 10. The Majestic Son Doong Cave. Deep inside the breathtaking Phong Nha Ke Bang National Park in Quang Binh Province, Vietnam, lies the world's largest cave, Son Doong. This massive cave stretches an unbelievable 5.5 miles in length, with a width of about 650 feet and a height of 500 feet. Its size makes it the largest cave in the world. To help you imagine just how big this cave is, the volume of Son Doong is a mind-blowing 38.5 million cubic inches, which is more than 5 times the size of Malaysia's Deer Cave, which once held the record. Because of its gigantic scale, Son Doong has become a bucket list destination for adventurers and explorers. Inside, the cave is just as impressive as its size. There are massive stalagmites, some reaching over 80 inches tall, and the cave even has its own ancient forest. The ecosystem inside the cave is totally unique, with its own weather system and an underground river that has yet to be fully explored. Visitors who venture inside describe it as stepping into a whole new world, one that feels surreal and awe-inspiring. Exploring Son Doong is a once-in-a-lifetime adventure for anyone interested in cave exploration or the natural wonders that remain hidden from the world. This incredible site showcases the untouched beauty of Vietnam's landscapes and is a must-see for anyone who wants to discover one of the most amazing and unexplored environments on the planet. Number 9. Pajamas in public. In many parts of the world, pajamas are seen as something you wear only at bedtime, kept strictly for the comfort of your home. But in Vietnam, it's a whole different story. It's not unusual to see people wearing pajamas at all times of the day. You might catch someone selling PAO in their pajamas, strolling around town, or even going on a date dressed in sleepwear. Surprisingly, this trend isn't just popular with older generations. Many young people in Vietnam also love wearing pajamas as part of their daily outfit, making it a common choice for casual outings. If you're from a place where pajamas are only for lounging or sleeping, this might seem a bit strange. But in Vietnam, it's totally normal and comfy. The country's hot climate is one reason why pajamas are a go-to outfit for so many people. The fabric is light and breathable, which helps with the scorching heat. Plus, the style of pajamas in Vietnam is usually modest, covering most of the body with long sleeves and pants, making them perfectly acceptable for public wear without being inappropriate. Number 8. The infamous snake wine. Have you ever thought about drinking wine with a snake inside the bottle? Well, in Vietnam, rue ran or snake wine is a traditional drink that might either fascinate or freak you out, depending on how you feel about it. This unique alcoholic beverage is made by placing a live snake in a bottle of rice wine or liquor and letting it drown. As the snake dies, it curls up in the bottle, creating a pretty creepy sight. Sometimes the snake is stunned first, then gutted and sewn back together before being put into the alcohol. This exotic drink is thought to have medicinal benefits in traditional Vietnamese medicine, especially for joint pain. It's often consumed by older people or those who do hard physical work in tough conditions. Even though the snake in the bottle might look unsettling, locals believe in its healing powers. The snake is considered a symbol of strength, and drinking the wine is said to improve energy and stamina. If you're feeling extra adventurous, there are even versions of this drink made with other animals, like scorpions. So, would you dare to try snake wine? Just looking at it might make some people second-guess their decision. Number 7. The power of siesta. In some places, taking a nap might be seen as lazy, but in Vietnam, it's totally normal and even encouraged. Siesta is such a big part of daily life that it's actually built into the Vietnamese workday. After lunch, offices and workplaces across the country become surprisingly quiet as many employees take a break. Some might stretch out on mats, others might curl up in chairs or even lie down on the floor for a quick rest. This siesta culture isn't just found in Vietnam. Countries with similarly hot climates like Spain and Italy also take part in this tradition, adjusting business hours to beat the midday heat. Studies have shown that napping isn't just a way to relax, it's actually good for your health. A short nap can help reduce stress, improve focus, and even lower the risk of heart disease. In fact, places that practice afternoon siestas, like Mediterranean countries, have lower heart disease death rates compared to regions like the United States or Northern Europe. Now, let's shift gears and talk about another breathtaking Vietnamese landscape that will leave you in awe. Before we continue, here's today's subscriber's pick. Did you know that Vietnam still uses the death sentence? Yes. Hanging has been a part of the country's history as a way of carrying out capital punishment, although it's not the most common method today. In Vietnam, the death penalty is typically given for serious crimes like murder, hard substance trafficking, corruption, and terrorism. It can also be applied for economic crimes and acts of treason, especially when national security is at risk. One infamous case involved Nguyen Van Lem, a member of the Viet Cong, who was captured by South Vietnamese forces in 1968 during the Tet Offensive. He was executed by General Nguyen Ngoc Loan, who shot him in the head in a very public manner. While hanging wasn't the method used here, it still reflects the brutal nature of executions during wartime. There have been rare instances of mass hangings in Vietnam, especially during times of political unrest. After North and South Vietnam unified in 1975, many suspected enemies of the state were executed in what's known as the post-war purges. While hanging was sometimes used, firing squads were more common during these executions. Today, hanging is still a legal way to carry out the death penalty in Vietnam, although lethal injection has replaced it in some cases. How do you feel about hanging as a form of capital punishment? Do you think it's justified? Let us know in the comments. Number 6. The amazing sand dunes of Mui Ne. The sand dunes of Mui Ne, Vietnam, are some of the most breathtaking natural wonders in the country. Located on the southeastern coast in Binh Thuan province, these massive dunes create a desert-like landscape that contrasts beautifully with the nearby ocean. There are two main areas, the red sand dunes and the white sand dunes, each offering a different experience for anyone who visits. The red sand dunes, which are closer to Mui Ne town, are known for their reddish-orange colors, which look even more vibrant at sunrise and sunset. The soft, warm sand is perfect for sandboarding, a fun activity that both tourists and locals love to do. The wind constantly shifts the dunes, creating new patterns that make the scenery perfect for photos. The white sand dunes, which are about 19 miles from Mui Ne, are even larger and look like a mini desert. The pale golden sands stretch for miles and are home to rolling hills and a small freshwater lake called Bao Trang. Visitors can enjoy jeep tours, ride quad bikes, or even go horseback riding in this area. Aside from their stunning beauty, the sand dunes are also important to the local Cham people, who have called this region home for centuries. Each year, thousands of people visit the dunes, making them one of Vietnam's most popular tourist spots. Number 5. Sleeper buses. If you're looking for a different way to travel around Vietnam, consider taking a sleeper bus. These buses are a popular and interesting option for long trips across the country. Instead of regular seats, the buses are fitted with small beds where passengers can lie down and sleep while traveling. This makes long journeys much more comfortable, especially if you're heading to far-off cities. However, if you decide to take a sleeper bus, be prepared for some chilly temperatures since the air conditioning is often set pretty low. It's a good idea to bring a jacket or blanket to stay warm along the way. The setup works well for shorter people, but taller passengers might feel a bit cramped. The best part is that sleeper buses are very affordable. A trip across several provinces can cost as little as $20, making them a great choice for budget travelers. To get the most out of your sleeper bus experience, it's a good idea to travel at night. This way, you can sleep during the ride and wake up refreshed when you arrive at your destination. It's an adventurous and budget-friendly way to see the country. Number 4. Mastering the art of haggling in Vietnam. If you're planning to shop in Vietnam, get ready to haggle. In many markets and shops, bargaining is just part of the experience. The price you end up paying is usually much lower than the original asking price. Locals are really good at negotiating and often try to sell things to tourists for much higher prices, especially if they don't know the usual cost. That's why haggling is all part of the fun, and it's something tourists will quickly learn to do. A little preparation and confidence can go a long way in helping you score a good deal. The trick is not to show too much interest in something you want to buy. If you look too eager, the seller might raise the price. Instead, stay calm and offer a price that's about 30% lower than what they're asking. From there, you can go back and forth until you agree on a price. Even if you end up paying a bit more than the locals, you'll still get a fair deal. Haggling isn't just about saving money, it's also a way to dive into the local culture. Don't be afraid to try it out, as many vendors expect it, and it can actually be a fun part of shopping in Vietnam. Now, let's move on to another unique part of Vietnamese culture, this time involving an indigenous tribe that has kept their traditions alive despite modern changes. Number 3. Navigating Vietnam's chaotic traffic. If you thought the traffic in cities like Beijing was bad, wait until you visit places like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. These cities are known for having some of the wildest traffic you'll ever see, and it's definitely not for the faint of heart. The streets are packed with millions of motorcycles, and according to the Vietnam Motorcycle Manufacturers Association, there are about 72 million motorcycles on the road, around 2 bikes for every 3 people in the country. Because of this, it's no surprise that sidewalks are often completely taken over by parked bikes, leaving pedestrians with no choice but to walk on the streets. Moving around in these cities can feel like an extreme sport, with all sorts of vehicles like motorcycles, cars, buses, trucks, and even bicycles loaded with heavy stuff sharing the same lanes. One interesting thing is that honking isn't really a warning of danger. Instead, it's more like an announcement that someone's there. It sounds odd, but it works most of the time. Traffic flows surprisingly well, but it can still be a bit unnerving, especially for tourists. People often ignore traffic lights, so it's hard to tell when it's actually safe to cross. During rush hour, the streets get completely tangled, and it's probably best to avoid stepping onto the road at that time. Number 2. Tobacco smoking. Aside from regular cigarettes, Vietnam has its own special smoking tradition that's been passed down through generations. Smoking with a unique pipe made from rustic tobacco is a long-standing practice, especially in rural areas. This tobacco, known as La tobacco, is something that only Vietnam truly knows how to grow, process, and enjoy. Many homes in the countryside still have a low tobacco pipe, and it's not unusual to spot these pipes being used at tea stalls along the street. The way this tobacco is smoked is very different from the usual cigarette experience. When using a low tobacco pipe, the smoker takes a deep, strong inhale that produces a loud, distinct sound. For first-timers, this can be a bit much, and many people feel lightheaded or dizzy afterward. The tobacco is very strong, with a rich taste and powerful kick, which makes it a memorable experience for those brave enough to give it a try. Number 1. Vietnamese funerals. Funerals in Vietnam are very different from those in many other places. While most funerals around the world are quiet and solemn, funerals in Vietnam are loud and lively. If a neighbor passes away, be ready for at least 48 hours of noise. The funeral includes music, singing, alcohol, and even brass bands. People play drums, karaoke is common, and the atmosphere is anything but sad. At first, it might seem strange to hear such festive sounds during something so serious, but in Vietnamese culture, these lively noises have an important purpose. They're believed to drive away evil spirits and make sure the deceased's journey to the afterlife is peaceful. It's also a tradition to send the person off in a cheerful way, offering them the best before they leave. In some northern parts of Vietnam, professional mourners are hired to cry and speak about the deceased's good qualities, especially when family members are too overwhelmed with grief to do it themselves. These mourners are very skilled at showing such deep sorrow that it brings tears to everyone around them. Their role is important because their emotions help guide the grieving process, making sure the whole community shares in the sadness. Thanks for watching. See you in our next video.